acknowledge Eileen Hansen. Eileen was our co-chair.
All right. Here, here, here.
Eileen is going to acknowledge, we did indicate that anybody who gave $100 or more after the invitation went out, we would acknowledge them tonight, so that's what Eileen is going to do.
Just walk.
Tom is going to speak. So Tom will have an opportunity.
No worries. Tom always has an opportunity. Before Dick disappears, I want us all to acknowledge Dick's incredible generosity and I'm going to introduce Tom Ammiano, who of course needs no introduction, but I do want to say one thing, because I want you all to know, in case you don't, it's too easy to say Tom doesn't need an introduction. But last year, Tom authored 13 bills, and the governor signed every single one.
All right.
So I bump into the governor at Tommaso's restaurant. Of course. And I said, so how's Tom Ammiano? And he says he wants to legalize everything.
I just want you to know, it is extremely rare for the governor to sign every single bill that any one legislator puts forward onto his desk. So not only is Tom our friend and our longtime colleague and supporter, but he gets the job done.
Yeah.
Come on,
Well, here we are, and Aaron forgot to tell you that part of the Warriors deal was that I get locker room privilege. So, you know, sometimes I go to the laundromat. And when I go to the laundromat, it makes me think of cycles. And I think of the kind of cycle we're in now. It's all a little moderate, it's all a little hacky, it's all a little this, some of the fire's gone, etc. and so forth. But we've lived, if I'm reading the crowd right, except for a few of you, Tom Temprano and stuff, we've been through the shit before. Yeah. And I don't want us to forget that even with a in quotes, moderate strain, we are still a fucking progressive city.
Here, here.
And some of the board of supervisors are progressive and they don't know it. So I get that. You know, there are some issues that would have never gained traction. That there's nothing on the board now about LGBT. There's, it's all good. But now we have to make them connect the dots. Oh yeah. So I get our straight allies with LGBT going, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to vote for that. And, I know the old way, and I know that that's progress. But then what I try to say is, what else is LGBT? Housing, health, criminal justice, environment, and so you can connect those dots. I think that's what Harvey Milk always did. So when it comes to The Guardian, there's a lot of times when things happen, like, wah. And I could always call Tim Redmond. And there was a mayor's race a number of years ago where, I'm just going to say, our big lefty family became somewhat divided. And I was too old and I was too gay and I was going to lose. So we didn't win that race, based on the candidates. And I'm not saying that we were totally innocent around that, but it was pretty fucked. And and the paper that Tim wrote for and was mentored by and why we know we can call them, they didn't do the right thing. No, they did not. And it contributed to this bullshit that we're dealing with today. Right. But Tim was pure, and Tim was there, and Tim wrote a dissenting opinion about that endorsement. And how could we ever not be grateful for that? Because it took some balls. It really did. So thank you. always need outlets. I need to be able to vet, and I know if I can't call somebody and just say, this is driving me crazy, there's a hypocrisy there. And the best thing about Tim is the institutional memory. So when I say, you know, the God that remember in 1989 when Asshole voted for that and now he's saying this, Tim knows! And it's so confirming. And so we're not losing that in San Francisco with supporting Tim and his efforts. In fact, we're reclaiming it. And the best thing for me is that there is a movement out there of young people who are all connected to social media, etc., and so forth, and they're analytical and they have energy that I don't have sometimes, but they're on the right track, and a lot of those people happen to be working for David Campos to replace me, and I can't tell you how important that is. It's bigger than Campos and it's bigger than me. We replace me with someone different than me on a different track, who is more transactional, who kind of wallows in it. Well, I'm a swing vote. You never want anybody transactional to be a swing vote.
No.
You never want anybody who is trying to appeal to both sides to deal with immigration like I have, or affirmative action like I have, or prison reform like I have, or environmental issues, or legalization of marijuana. I don't need transactional about that. There's not two fucking sides to many fucking
That's
vessels.
right.
Yes.
I'm sick of it, and I was able to penetrate my way through the muck and make it work. And so I have to say to you, you know, bipartisan, whatever you want to say, David Campos is the person that needs to replace
That's
me.
right.
And I hope you take that message with you. And someone like Tim, why I love Tim is because I'll call up and I go, you know, I want to cut that person's balls off, and I want to throw acid in their face. And Tim will say, yeah, but you know, it's good. We need that. We need that. And so I applaud you all for seeing that so clearly. And thank you so much. And thank you, Tim. We love you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Tom. You know, Tom talked about one mayoral campaign. One of the very few times that I had fundamental disagreements with the guy who owned the Guardian. But the more important thing to remember about Tom, and I know, you know, I'm very old. I started in San Francisco politics and journalism in 1981. And I have seen a lot happen, but I remember the early 80s when, other than Harry Britt and sometimes Nancy Walker, we had nobody on the board.
right.
And we didn't have district elections, and you know, Dianne Feinstein and then Willie Brown ran the town, and you couldn't get anything anywhere. And all of that changed in a significant way in 1999, when Tom ran a write-in campaign for mayor.
That's right.
After he was drafted. Tom did not go out and say, I want to be mayor. I often say that anyone who wants to be in office should be disqualified from being in office. Tom didn't want to run for mayor. We all got together and said, you have to do this. And he stood up and said, okay, I'll do it. And in a very short period of time, about 3 months.
No, then he changed his mind, and then he.
I know, we got it. In a period of about 3 or 4 months, the politics of San Francisco were transformed. And so many people, like Aaron Peskin, so many people who have been part of the first crew of district elections and the changes that we've seen in this city, and also the mobilization and organization of the left in the city, we owe it to Tom. You know, I mean, I think Aaron would be the first one to say, if it weren't for Tom and that 1999 campaign, you wouldn't be on the Board of Supervisors. You never would have been on the Board of Supervisors, right? So we owe a lot to Tom, and it means a lot to me that he came here and talked. I'm not going to go on for a long time. I know you all want to get back to drinking and eating. That's such amazing stuff. First, let me say, you know, if it weren't for Dick Grosboll, I certainly wouldn't be here doing this. When I was having trouble with the Guardian after it was taken over by a new owner, you know, I would go see Dick, and you know, he helped me understand what I was going through. And when I was given my involuntary resignation in the middle of the night one night, I was informed by email that my resignation had been accepted. I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do now? You know, and I realized that San Francisco has always needed a progressive daily newspaper. And we've never had one. You know, at least in the time I've been here, we've never had one. You know, and if this were 30 years ago, Chronicle, yeah. If this were 30 years ago, that would have taken multiples of tens of millions of dollars, because I would have needed a printing press and a distribution system and all kinds of things. And nowadays, I can actually do that at a much lower cost. In fact, right now, the world headquarters of 48hills.org is in my basement. I would be a startup in a garage, except I don't have a garage. So I'm a startup in my basement. But, you know, I got this crazy idea. Gee, can I actually start a progressive online daily newspaper in San Francisco and set it up as a nonprofit? Could I raise the money? And I went to Dick, and he helped me create the San Francisco Progressive Media Center. He did all the work setting up the nonprofit, and now he's raising money for me. And I really want to thank him and Esther and Eileen for doing this. I really want to thank you, because the main thing that I wondered when I started on this venture is the community support out there? Can I actually raise enough money to run a progressive daily newspaper in San Francisco and to hire a couple of staff people and to have a sustainable going effort that is a competitor to the Chronicle and the Examiner, and that takes news seriously and that does real investigative reporting, which is desperately missing in the city.
Yes.
And, you know, and with reporters who actually go to meetings and talk to people and ask questions, and, you know, and ask the mayor tough questions and aren't afraid to do that. And can we actually pull this off? And when I look around the room, it's like, it makes me feel like, yeah, maybe I really can.
Yes.
You know, and it means so much to me to see all of you here tonight helping with that. 48 Hills, I think, since we went live in late 2013, has broken a lot of big stories. I know if you look at the invite, and if you are on my email list, if you're not, give me your email and I'll put you on the email list. We're breaking big stories all the time. And we're doing it so far with, as I say, me in my basement with a laptop and a few freelancers. I think some of them are here. Zelda's here. Zelda's one of my freelancers writing about land use and planning issues. And Tom Tomfrano, who is writing Tom's Town for us. Any of my other writers are here. If they are, they can wave. But it's, you know, it's a group of freelancers. We're working together to try to do this, and I believe this is going to happen. And the reason I believe it's going to happen is, first of all, I think San Francisco has always needed and will support a progressive daily newspaper. The other thing is, I really think, from my experience in newspaper publishing, that the Chronicle is going to be gone in 10 years.
Oh, goody.
I mean, it really is. It's already gone. It's already. Well, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you one of the reasons that I think that is. I teach journalism classes, and I speak at a lot of journalism classes, and these are young people who want to be in this business. Yeah. And I ask them all, how many of you read the Chronicle or the Examiner every day? Now, in the course of the last 3 years, I've probably spoken to 500, 600 young people in journalism and politics, and you know what the answer is?
Zero.
They don't read the Chronicle and Examiner. And I ask why, and they go, why would I? What's in the Chronicle? What's in the Chronicle that appeals to younger people, all right? So that's one of the things they're losing.
That's great.
And
The obituaries.
the obituaries, exactly. You know, their model just isn't working, and they have not found a way to appeal to the progressive community and the younger community of San Francisco. But the good news is, in 10 years, I think we're going to have half a dozen online daily newspapers. And none of them with a staff of 500, but all of them with a staff of, 6 to 10 to 12. And we might actually have, once again, a competitive news environment in San Francisco, where you have people fighting for stories and trying to break stories and trying to scoop each other and actually going out and trying to tell you new news, as opposed to sitting around on somebody's couch in their pajamas retweeting what somebody else has already said. Actually going up, and there's nothing wrong with bloggers and retweeting what people have said. I appreciate the people who retweet all of my stories. But to do that, you have to have the story first.
Yeah.
And someone has to go out and get and do the research and do the investigation and break the story. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I want to be, 10 years from now, I want 48hills.org to be the voice on the left of San Francisco that is doing this and that continues to do it for all of you.